From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN Noon News.
Good afternoon and thanks for joining us on the Noon News. I'm Diane Parker. Ed has our Friday forecast plus a free day at one of Montana's most popular dino museums. But first, our top story, death threats against Montana Senator Jon Tester. MTN's Jill Valley with news of an arrest and what court documents say are some of the suspect's own words against the senator.
A Kalispell man is accused of threatening to kill Montana U.S. Senator Jon Tester. I was in the federal courtroom when 45-year-old Kevin Patrick Smith pled not guilty to 2 counts of threatening to assault and murder a United States official, specifically U.S. Senator Jon Tester. Now, according to court documents, on January 30th, Smith started making threatening phone calls to Tester's office in Kalispell. In one voicemail, Smith stated, quote, "There is nothing I want more than to have you stand toe-to-toe with me. You stand toe-to-toe with me, I rip your head off, you die. You stand in a situation where it is physical between you and me, you die." Court documents state Smith acknowledged in the recording that he, quote, "threatened Senator Tester and such threats were on purpose." On February 1st, well, that's when the FBI contacted Smith and instructed him to not threaten physical violence toward Senator Tester. But February 10th, Smith again called the senator, stating in a message, quote, "I want you to understand if I ever pull my trigger, I know what dies." That according to court documents. In another voicemail, Smith is accused of saying, "It is important for you to understand that I won't live under your rule. If it becomes time that I die, I'd take a significant number with me." Smith was arrested in Kalispell Wednesday on a warrant from Capitol Police. He is currently in the Missoula County Detention Center on a federal hold. In Missoula, Jill Valley, MTN News.
Happening today, the Montana House is expected to send a bill prohibiting children from attending drag shows to the state Senate. House Bill 359 passed a preliminary vote on the House floor yesterday and is scheduled for a final vote today. All but one Republican representative voted for the bill. All Democrats were against it. The legislation would prohibit a business from admitting anyone under 18 while hosting drag performances and ban drag shows on public property. There's a community in Wyoming with close ties to Ukraine. They're rallying this weekend at the state capitol in Cheyenne, calling for continued support for the embattled nation. Similar United for Ukraine rallies are happening across the U.S., about 65 cities and towns. At the last census, several hundred people reported being from Ukraine, and now refugee families are being sponsored to live and work there. They're calling for all Ukrainians in Wyoming to join them and any supporters as well.
For Ukraine, we need to send that stuff. We need the tanks, we need the ammunition, we need the gunfire, we need the drones, we need and the biggest thing that would help the most is some aircraft.
It makes me feel like I'm a part of something bigger than myself, because like the Ukrainian people have such a strong history and a strong background that they're fighting to protect right now.
The rally is tomorrow at 11 at the state capitol in Cheyenne. Helena police are investigating after 2 juveniles were shot at a park. According to police, the shooting happened at Ryan Fields just before 9:30 last night. The juveniles were taken to the hospital for treatment. An 18-year-old was identified as a suspect. Police found and detained him several hours later near the scene. This is believed to be an isolated incident. Admission to Museum of the Rockies is free for Montana residents tomorrow from 9 to 5. It is part of the first ever More Montana Day. Montanans visiting the museum can explore 2 special limited time exhibits, cultural and natural history exhibits, children's exhibits, planetarium shows, and the museum store, all for free. Admission is possible thanks to support from U.S. Bank. And that's a look at some of the day's top stories.
With the exception of areas of western Montana, we're still sub-zero. You can check out these readings. Morning temperatures into the teens, 20s below zero. We set a number of records. We'll get the official numbers in during the afternoon, but I know around Miles City, certainly Billings, down towards Sheridan, Wyoming, and a few other locations. Record cold temperatures first thing in the day with the additional wind chills on top of that. A few viewers also sharing pictures. Here's 26 below from the Bernie area in southern Rosebud County. And how about minus 30 degrees early this morning south of the Red Lodge area. As we get into the next few days, little guys like this are still going to have a lot of cold to deal with, but we are building those temperatures back up as we get later into the weekend. We'll explain with the forecast details coming up.
The Econo Lodge is one of the motels that accepts Mira funding, and for many months it was at the rate of $2,200 a month. On one of the coldest days of winter, Mervyn Lewis is leaving the place he's called home.
You got to do your own cleaning and all that. You know, they're not too punctual on housekeeping for bedding and towels.
Lewis has been living at the Econo Lodge in Billings. He normally works as a commercial truck driver, but medical problems put him out of work.
I've been here for about a month and a half. It's not up to par on what I'm expecting for a room.
Paying for long-stay housing at the Econo Lodge was possible, thanks to funds from the Montana Emergency Rental Assistance Program, or MIRA, which pays hotels to house people 3 months at a time.
So essentially what they did is they said, if you cannot find housing because there's no housing available, if you've exhausted all of your housing options, we will allow you to stay in a motel. People got wind of that.
The pool of emergency housing money comes from the American Rescue Plan, a stimulus bill passed by Congress during COVID-19. Montana received $183 million, which was given to the Montana Department of Commerce to distribute. And that's where the problem began.
And they didn't spend it fast enough initially. So the federal government took some of that funding back and told them, you need to spend the rest of this or we're going to take it back also.
And things snowballed from there. To spend the money, the agency began providing the funds to hotels willing to house people for up to 18 months without many parameters. And some hotels began to misuse the money.
So you're talking about $6,600 for a 3-month period. And sometimes folks wouldn't stay in the motels for the 3 months. Sometimes it would be because the motel might kick them out early. Sometimes it might be that they leave. But those motels were required to give that money back to the state to be dispersed back out to others who needed it. And that did not happen.
Now, funds have been cut off, and the program is set to end in late March. That means an estimated 1,600 people currently in Billings hotels could be without a place to stay. People like Mervyn Lewis.
People need a place to live.
But that place may be hard to find.
But there's no silver bullet here.
In Billings, Jackie Coffin, MTN News.